Hi, everybody. It's really early in the morning, and I felt inclined to continue telling my story. I'm at part 19, and I think I left off where it was around 2010. And it was a Friday at the end of the workday, and I was fired from the job at the nursing facility. I was a social worker, and I had been there 5 years, and I had put in so much work to that job. I look back and I think that job was I learned so much in it about so much. I worked with so many people. My favorite part of the job, working with the patients and patients and their families. And I was really good at what I do. And so the thing about getting fired from this job was, at the end of the conversation with the administrator, one of the nurses came to the door, and he said that she was going to help escort me out of the facility. And so we went to my office, and she goes, "You can't touch any of you can't touch any of your work. Just gather your belongings. Here's a box, and I will escort you out of the building." It was the most embarrassing, the most humiliating I think I had ever felt. I gathered my things and walked out of the building. Thank God it wasn't out the front. I would have had to walk past all of the patients I had been working with, and families, and whoever was in the facility. But I left. She walked me holding my box. I was holding my box of belongings, and I had been fired. I went out to my car, and I just sat there going, "What the fuck? Oh my God." And I went home. My daughter was there, and her friend, and it hit me. What am I going to do? I wasn't planning for this. I'd worked for them for 5 years. 5 years. And so I it got really depressed. But right away, I was looking for another job. And I had lost a bunch of weight. I mean, so I was looking good. I was looking really good, and I hit the pavement. And then I just through talking to someone, found out the first social work job I ever had was at Aging and Adult Services in Coeur d'Alene, and I heard that they were looking for an adult protection investigator, and I thought, this would be good because I know adult protection, and so I thought I'll give it a try, and it seemed like a really great idea, and I was familiar with most of the people. The director of the agency was different, but I started working this job, and then the program manager of adult protection came back to work after being on a leave of absence and that's when it got bad. It got really bad working there. Everything and then it got really bad when another investigator, but worked up in the Sandpoint area. We were going somewhere, and she was driving, and she, because I had this performance evaluation. I had this performance evaluation, and it was not good, but this gal knew something that I didn't know. And she commenced to tell me that when she was working up in Sandpoint, she overheard the program manager who was working tell another investigator like me and this gal that, hey, help me, I got to do Melinda's evaluation. And so they kind of worked together, and this evaluation was a fucking joke. It was like, I felt like it was a rap sheet of on August 28th, you were outside smoking, and it was just, there was not one positive thing on this job, and this is because when they called me in, it was a Friday, and there was the program manager and a couple other people, and I felt like I had been kicked in the stomach repeatedly, and at the end of it, they handed me the evaluation, everything that they threw at me, and I left there, and I had met somebody, a guy I was dating. He lived in Colville, and I was gonna, because I used to go up there like on the weekends, or he'd come down to my house. Well, this was his weekend or my weekend to go there. And when I drove an hour and a half, because I lived in Coeur d'Alene, just mulling over all this shit, going, no, this is so not cool. But I didn't know that the program manager gathered this data on me and the work I did from a coworker who'd never worked with me, had no clue who I was, and they just poured it in there. And he goes, I told my boyfriend, I said, I get to his house and I go, oh my God, I feel like I'm going to be sick. I go, I had that evaluation, and they're not going to renew my contract. I am not feeling comfortable with that job at all. And he's like, man, you did all this stuff? And I'm like, fuck no, I didn't do that shit. They just don't like me. And so I, had the best weekend I could, looked while I was there. I looked for jobs in that area, and there was a job in Colville at a place called Rural Resources. And they were kind of like a grassroots, one-stop shop for food bank, housing, all the stuff. And they were looking for a case manager, and that's what I do. And so I applied for this job, and I got it. So I turned in my resignation at Aging and Adult Services. And when I turned in my evaluation, the administrator, I had to do an exit interview from NIC, North Idaho College, because they were the host. They were because Area Agency on Aging was it was part of a system through the Older Americans Act. And so I did this exit interview with North Idaho College, and I let it all hang out. I said, when I got this job, I was excited. I was really, really excited, because I was going to go back to a place that I started at and apply all the skills I've had